Yeah. Please read it.
Aim. To avoid or rise above semblance of faith, Shraddha Bhasa, impure faith, and to recognize it in others.
So, we want Shraddha Bhas or we want Shraddha? Yeah. So, then how can we get Shraddha? So, we have to know what are the Abhas components in our heart and weed them out. Like when we used to do this tomato cultivation in the garden, there used to be one plant which looks exactly like tomato plant. They will look alike. So we used to throw the tomato seeds and water them. But when it grows, you come to know tomato plant will give out first green color tomatoes, and then it becomes red, yellow, and then red it becomes. The other plant will have a small fruit this much, which is also not edible. It's like poisonous fruit. It's no good. But externally the leaves and all look. That is the problem with our weeds. The weeds look like the good creeper. Therefore, we want to distinguish. How do we know how to distinguish the weeds? For various purposes. One is we don't want to water the weeds and waste our time. And we don't want to water the weeds and grow the weeds in such a way that will choke the main plant. The purpose is defeated, isn't it? So that is another reason we want to learn about the impure weeds. That's for our own protection. And why should we recognize it in others? Then we can help them to also weed out. First we want to weed out ourselves in our own heart. Then we want to help others also. Like Lord Chaitanya says, if you see, he says, the weeds of unwanted desires and crooked behavior, he says that should be given up. Kutinati, Jiva Himsa, all those things. We learned about it before. So he says, identify them and weed them out, he says. Remove the weeds. Then your heart becomes a fertile ground for the creeper to devotion, bhakti lata to grow. See this water is shown in the picture. Watering is what? Shravanam and Kirtanam. Correct, no? And that watering should go to the actual plant, isn't it? See, many organizations, many companies, they produce some product which eventually becomes very famous. And after it becomes very famous, one of the things that happens is Nakli product will come. Correct, no? With almost similar name. Why it comes? They use the reputation of the parent company in order to make something similar but very cheap. But they want to loot people. Correct, no? So therefore one has to be careful. When pure devotional service was taught by Lord Chaitanya, following Chaitanya subsequently, 13 Apasampradayas cropped up. And they all appear like Gaudiyas, but they are not Gaudiyas actually. They are Gaudiyabhas, isn't it? They resemble Gaudiyas externally. They may wear tilaka, they may wear. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur used the word Kalera Chela, he said. Kalera Chela means you may wear a tilak, kantimala, play mridanga, sing songs, but their culture. So three things: vichar, achar, prachar is not like Gaudiya. Vichar means the opinion taught by Lord Chaitanya or the philosophy taught by Lord Chaitanya. Achar means the behavior, and the prachar means the preaching. Correct, no? For example, some organizations say that you have to only purify yourself. There is no need of preaching at all. Just chant more and more rounds. And that's not what Chaitanya said. He said, Bharata Bhumita Hoela, Manushya Janmaya, Janma Sarthaka Korikara Para Upakar. And he told the same similar instruction to Kurma Brahmana and Vasudev Leper, all of them. So one has to do prachar the way Mahaprabhu has started. He also said Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, Prati Gare Gare Giya Koro Ei Bhiksha. He said, also he told Kurma Brahman, Jare Dekutare Kaho, Krishna Upadesh. So we always can cite evidences to show Mahaprabhu wanted prachar to be done like this. And similarly, if you see his achar, Dharma Stapana Hetu, Sadhura Vyavahar. Dharma is established by the behavior of a saint or Vaishnava devotee. So, and Mahaprabhu emphasized a lot on conduct of a Vaishnava, character of a Vaishnava, and he himself was spotlessly pure. Sannyasiri Alpachidra Sarvaloka guy. So, in order to establish a high standard, he banished Chota Haridas and he rejected Kala Krishna Das. So, in this way, Achar Mahaprabhu established right behavior. And similarly, the vichar of Mahaprabhu, Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. That is very important. Neither did he teach Dvaita, nor did he teach Advaita. He taught Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattvam. He taught. So nowadays, if you go to Bengal, you find some people wearing Gaudiya type of tilak, Kantimala, and they have their own philosophy of, Chaitanya Pat, Shankara Mat. That kind of thing they have. So that means the vichar is not matching with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They look like Chaitanya follower externally, but they are having a different philosophy other than what Lord Chaitanya taught. Correct? No? That means weeds have come. So we should have Chaitanya Pat, Chaitanya Mat. Correct? No? Both should be matching with Lord Chaitanya. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that when unwanted desires like this apasampradaya thoughts are, those some 18 items which Bhaksan Saraswati Thakur said, we read earlier. If any of you want to see that again, it is Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 19.169. Correct, no? Or 159. 159, 160, I think. Yeah. So in the same verses, 156 to, 161, you can read those verses, you will find the unwanted creepers of crooked behavior. Basically this one, Nishidachar, Kotinati, Jiva Himsana, Puja, Labha, Pratishtha Adi, Upashaka Adi, Gana. So how to remove those Upashakas? Mahaprabhu says that we have to protect our own creeper. And then Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that don't give Bhagavad Gita to everybody, he says. Now marathon is starting. Are you not going and giving Bhagavad Gita? You may wonder. He says that if somebody is envious, if you try to push them to accept Krishna as supreme, they may become offensive. So therefore preachers try to find out which are the people, like when we go in the trains also, somebody is very envious and yelling, shouting, we just go to the next person. We don't waste time confronting them, standing in one place. We should not feed bananas and milk to a snake. Payam panam bhujanganam kevalam vishavardhanam. The poison will increase. If anybody is very envious of Krishna, he is blaspheming, you leave that place and go away. Because you are trying to convince him is going to make him even more poisonous sometimes. Then we leave and go. So Krishna says, therefore, for example, if he's a Mayavadi, I should not talk. Like one time I was sitting in the train in the top studying Bhagavatam. One fellow was sitting down, looked like a very sober, very pious, nice person. So he was asking me, Swamiji, if you can come down, I can ask some questions. He was a young man, he was probably around 30 years, I think. So I have been studying for quite some time. Then I thought I'll come down and talk to him. So very humbly asked some questions. So I answered for about 10 minutes. And after that I saw slowly he starting his philosophy. Basically he wanted to convince that Sambhokse Samadhi. He says that the whole world is all about sex life only. Just eat, drink and be merry. And by that you can attain trance. Actually, when Prabhupada went to West, Allen Ginsberg in one of his talk told Prabhupada that, Swamiji, I think in this age people are very degraded, isn't it? He said, Prabhupada said, yes, it's true. And people are utterly unqualified and they have become unruly, they cannot control their mind and senses. So God will certainly feel pity for them, isn't it? He asked. And Prabhupada said, yeah, that is true. Kaliyuga manda sumanda matiyo manda bhagi. Prabhupada also quoted that and substantiated. Therefore, considering the situation of people in Kali Yuga, Lord Krishna has come in the form of a drug, he said, called marijuana. Like that he said. Prabhupada said, what? What are you talking? Prabhupada said, this marijuana doesn't enlighten you, it makes you more ignorant. And then he said, no, Swamiji, it helps you to switch off from your mind. That which completely relieves you from the mind. You only said mantra means that liberates you from the mind. Does it not liberate you? It frees you because it relieves you of all the anxieties. You take marijuana and then you completely switch off with the mind. Prabhupada said, see, you can, if this is a situation of your mind, you can switch off the mind and go to deep ignorance. Or you can switch off from the mind and go to elevated platform of Vishuddha Sattva. It's not the same, you understand, no? When you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, you elevate the mind to like a aeroplane so that the waves of the ocean does not attack you. The three gunas, Rajoguna, Tamasa, Satoguna. But when you take the drugs, you go to Shushupti. You go to the deep ignorance stage. It's like, waves are attacking, so I'll go deep in the ocean inside. What will happen? You will die only inside. Correct, no? Actually, you should elevate yourself above the ocean, not go into the ocean. Into the ocean, you will go in the mouth of a shark or a Timingalam only. So he was thinking, this Allen Ginsberg, that taking these drugs takes you to Shushupti. It helps you to switch off from Jagrati and Swapna. Go to Shushupti. So Prabhupada told him, your idea that Krishna has come in the form of drug, that itself is illusion. That's your own illusion. He said, yes, Krishna is compassionate to the jivas in Kali Yuga, but compassionately has given the Yuga Dharma, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and gave Mahamantra. So don't concoct anything of your own, he told them. So why I am telling you, some people, the way they will begin the talk appears to be, they are coming to your track. But then they will come to your track and take you to another track. Wrong track like that. So as soon as I saw this fellow, he is simply wasting my time, almost 1 hour, talking, bluffing, bogus philosophy. Then I realized, my Lord, I wasted my time. Then I told him, okay, you relax, now I am going up again. So he said, no, I have some books also from our organization, I'll give you. He said, keep it with you. Yeah. So you will find, therefore we should be able to see the Shraddha Abhas in other people also, not only in ourselves. If you see in ourselves, we can weed out our heart. If you see it in others, we can keep away. We don't want to, take contamination from others. Therefore we should know. Yeah.
In either case, while practicing devotional service or teaching it to others, devotees must learn to identify pure and impure faith by their characteristics.
What is pure faith? What is impure faith will become evident in this session. So, Rupa Swami defines what is Abhas in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says that the Pratibimbas tatha chaya ratyabhaso dvidha mataha. He says, see, Pratibimba Abhas or Chaya Ratyabhas. Two type of Ratyabhas, he says. See, Rati means attraction to Krishna. And Rati Abhas means it is not exactly attraction, it resembles attraction. For example, you see somebody is hearing Kirtan and they have tears coming in their eyes. And their hair is standing on end and body is trembling. So it resembles what? It resembles Bhava. He is exhibiting ecstasy. Is it not? So when you see that, you wonder, he is maybe a very advanced devotee. Because he is showing tears. So externally it appears like he is a very advanced devotee. Now there should be some scientific procedure for evaluating that fellow whether he is really advanced or it is only Abhas only. Correct now? So therefore we should know this subject. Because we are also aspiring to attain Bhava. What type of Bhava we want to attain? We don't want a cheating Bhava. We want real Bhava. So that's why first one is Pratibimba Shraddhabhas. That is reflective. You see, in the commentary to this verse 4.9, Bhagavad Gita, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says something very important. Janma karma jame divyam yevam yo veti tatpataha tyaktva deham punarjanmana iti mameti sorjuna. So how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur translates this? He says, Krishna, those who consider your birth and your activities to be divine, such devotees get divine bodies in the spiritual world. And they associate with you eternally, rendering loving service to you. He says. And those people who consider your birth and activities to be ordinary and mundane, like that of the conditioned souls, they are repeatedly cast into the ocean of birth and death in the material world. Never find an end, like that he translates it. He says about this. So therefore it is very important for us to have the type of Shraddha that is pure Shraddha. Pure Shraddha actually means the faith in the Lord is coming from the bottom of the heart as he is a transcendental person, Sachidananda Vigraha. When he appears in this world, he is not like ordinary child, or his activities are not like ours. So that Shraddha is very important. But certain people with Shraddha Abhas, impure faith, are unable to develop that type of faith. And there are reasons for that. Why they can't develop that type of faith, it will be mentioned in the next verse. So, people have heard from Mayavadis that, ultimately everything is impersonal. There are many types of Mayavada discussions that goes on in different organizations. Some organizations say, there is no form at all, you just worship only the impersonal light. Some organizations meditate on light also, or they meditate on a lamp also. There are other people who say that one, ekam satyam dvitiyam nasti, there is another one also, they will say that, or the ekam satyam bahuda vadanti. See, in the Shastras you will find Abheda Vakyas and Bheda Vakyas. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the philosophy of Achintya Bheda, Abheda. Because, you can't only say there is Bheda. You can't only say there is Abheda. But both are present in the Vedic literature. Like Samane Vrikshe Purusho Nimagno Anisheshvachati Muhyamanaha is a verse from the Mundaka Upanishad. Talks about two birds sitting in a tree. Similarly, Krishna says in the 13th chapter, what that was? Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ityabhidiyate. Arjuna, this body is called kshetra. Evam yo veti tam prahuho kshetrajñam iti tadvidaha. The resident of this body is called kshetrajña. The next verse he says, kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajñayor jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama. There he says that one more kshetrajña. Kshetrajñam cha api mam vidhi. I am the second kshetrajña. So these are all Veda Vakyas. You will see that they clearly say that there are two souls in this body, like two birds sitting in a tree. Similarly, another verse from the Upanishads again. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. It says that there is nitya and nityanam. Chetana, chetanana. There is an eternal and there are multiple eternals. There is a cognizant, there are multiple cognizant living entities. And he is one and we are many. Singular supreme and plural subordinates. Again, it is a Veda Vakya. Correct, no? It talks about the difference between God and the Jiva. And there are other words like Sarvam Kalvam Idam Brahma, that is a Veda Vakya. Ekam Satyam Dvitiyam Nasti, that is also a Veda Vakya. So in this way you find both in the Vedic literature. So you may wonder, which one is true? Should we take the Veda or should we take Aveda? You go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, Achintya Veda Veda. He says, both are there. In quality, the Jiva and God are one. And like Jesus said, I and Father are one, he said. How they are one? Their wavelength is matching. When wavelength matches, there's a resonance, the principle. Two forks if you take and you vibrate it. If their wavelengths are matching, sound will come. Because by vibrating this also vibrates. Similarly, sometimes two people's hearts vibrate. Like when Prabhupada is speaking a lecture, there are many in the audience who are able to relate with it. That means their hearts are resonating with him. So when God's heart and Jiva's heart resonates, that is called oneness. That is actual oneness. Similarly, in a family, father, mother, children, they all agree for one thing together. That means their hearts are one. They are resonating. That's the meaning of one. One doesn't mean you catch all of them and put them and make a lump of flesh. It's not oneness. So, therefore, in this way, the way Shakti Matayor Abhedaha, like that the Shastra says. See, Shakti and Shaktiman are non-different, it says. Abhedaha, there is no difference. Okay, if there is no difference, then why are you saying two things? You can ask that question now. If you say Shakti and Shaktiman, there is no difference, then why are you calling the word Shakti and Shaktiman? Say only one thing. But why it is saying two things? It's like saying sun and sunlight are non-different. Kasturi and Kasturi's fragrance are inseparable. Similarly, Radha and Krishna are one, but they have expanded into two for the sake of Leela. Like that. So, therefore, this is the eternal truth. So, the devotees of the Lord have understanding of this and they accept the personality of Godhead. But the impersonalists concoct in various ways. They want to keep the absolute truth impersonal for various reasons that you will come to know in the next verse here. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashitaha bhagavo jnana tapasa puta madbhava magataha. See, this is Krishna's eternal pastimes, colorful pastimes that Lord performs in this world and that world. So devotee's heart becomes filled with these type of pastimes, absorbing their consciousness. And those who keep on absorbing their consciousness in these pastimes, they never return to this material world. They join this Nitya Lila. Either they go to spiritual world or they go with the Lord to other universes to assist him in his devotional service, like Arjuna and others do. But these fellows, other fellows, they are not able to develop attachment to Lord. Why? Look at the top fellow. He has raga, attachment for material wealth and everything. So they become totally possessed, like a ghost possessing a body. Like that the material desires possess them. So their absorption goes into matter. Vita raga. And second one is bhaya, means they have developed a fear of material body. He must be having some deadly disease in the body, this fellow. So he thinks if you have a body, you will have disease. He thinks. Some people have very, very terrible disease in the body, and the two for many years also. Sometimes 20, 30 years they suffer. So either he is fed up with his own body, or he is fed up with interpersonal clashes. He must have divorced 2-3 times. Then he gets fed up with relationships in this world. He doesn't want to have give and take with anyone. If somebody goes to connect with him as a friend, hey, don't come here, like see how he is saying. He is afraid of people, he is afraid of diseases, he is afraid of form itself. So his aspiration is to go to a place where there will be no form, no name, no people. He can be Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This is fear of spiritual identity. And he will argue. What he will argue? Hey, this body, it is so horrible, this material body. So he thinks that God has to be impersonal, and I will also be impersonal, and I am God, I will become one with him. This is their idea. And the third fellow, Krodha, because of conception of void from frustration, which means many times these people have found contradictions in religions, contradictions in Shastra. They are confused, bewildered. Because Shastras do have contradictions, but they are resolvable. They can be reconciled. If you go to the very learned and realized devotees, they can clear up all the contradictions very easily. Like if you read Ishopanishad, it says tat tejati, tannajati, tad dure, tad bantike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasyasya bahitaha. It says that God is far away, he is near as well. Lord Vishnu is in Vaikuntha, but when Gajendra is calling Narayana Akila Guru, then Lord immediately comes near. Draupadi is in Hastinapur calling Krishna in Dwaraka, but Krishna immediately comes. Lord may be far away, but he can be very near. Similarly, in our heart he is Super Soul, and outside he is Virat Purusha. So he is inside also and outside also. Bahir Narsimha, Hriday Narsimha. So for you and me, we may not be able to do what Krishna does, but to superimpose our limitation on God is a sign of foolishness, isn't it? Do you think because we can't do something, he can't do? So therefore, these people finding contradictions, they argue, and they endlessly argue and enter into debates, and they never come to conclusion, these people. So, I read this.
Reflective semblance of faith is the distorted conviction of Mayavad philosophy that Lord Vishnu is a temporary manifestation of impersonal Brahman.
So their speculation is the impersonal Brahman, when it touches Tamoguna, it becomes matter. When it touches Rajoguna, it becomes Jiva. When it touches Sattoguna, it becomes Vasudeva. This is their own speculation. Who? The impersonalists. So they think the Vishnu form or Rama form, these are all highly evolved Sattva-guna type of situation according to them, which is a very great terrible offense against Vishnu, because Lord Vishnu or Rama and Krishna are in which guna? Vishuddha Sattva. They are in Vishuddha Sattva, beyond the three gunas. Krishna says, no, Trivir gunamayair bhavair yevis sarvamidam jagat mohitam na abhijanati mamebhyah param avyayam. He's saying, I am beyond this. There is another, some people say, impersonalists, Because Krishna says all these gunas are created by him, so he is also in guna. But Krishna denies that. What he says? Echaiva satvika bhava rajasas tamasaschaye matta eveti tan vidhi. From me only all these things have come, three gunas, he says. Datvaham te shute mayi, is saying. But I am not, these three gunas cannot touch me. That is Krishna's greatness. He can create them, but he will not be touched by them. For example, you can see, this cobweb, how the spider makes. Any of you must have observed, correct, no? It just first it sticks like this and comes down and then goes up, and it goes like this. And after making the entire cobweb, it goes and sits in the middle. And is it entangled? That is not entangled, but who is entangled? Some butterfly comes and says, hey, another nice design. It just goes round and round and gets stuck there. Correct, no? You've seen that? Similarly, Lord Vishnu, you've seen that picture where Vishnu is lying in the middle and all the Brahmandas are coming from him. Is he entangled? No. He is creating bhutva praliyate. He is creating, annihilating. He is not entangled. But we jivas come here and get fascinated by the glitter and glamour of the world and we get entangled. But to think he is entangled is foolishness. Again, that's Mayavada. So, one should know that Lord is not bound by the gunas. Next, yeah.
This type of faith manifests in the hearts of cunning, duplicitous persons, duplicitous persons, hopelessly addicted to sense gratification or liberation.
Bhukti or mukti, yeah, yes.
Such persons take up devotional activity after hearing that bhakti easily awards heavenly enjoyment or impersonal liberation.
Yeah, they do bhakti for that sake, yeah.
They have no faith in the eternality of the Lord's form, abode or service.
Such Mayavade, such impersonalists, what they think, if I go to temple, bow down to God, do some bhajan, that will help me. One category thinks that will help me to get some material pleasures, earthly or heavenly. Another category thinks I can get moksha by this, liberation. Yeah.
Their outward respect for these things is only a means to fulfill selfish ulterior goals.
Correct, no? Their own goals. Which means they are not in the mood to serve the Lord. They actually pretend to be serving Lord for their own goals. Yeah.
Mayavadis are commonly depicted as austere scholars who desire to merge into the impersonal Brahman.
Yeah. So the purpose of impersonal Brahman merging is what? So they can put a full stop to their existence and then they can relax and they can get rid of sufferings. So relief from suffering is their goal.
But there are other types of impersonalists who practice various types of sadhana to reach goals other than liberation. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes three types of reflective semblance of faith: Pratibimba, Shraddha, Bhasa, expressed by impersonalists.
Okay, and in Bhakti Tattva Viveka he explains, okay, this is the first one, type 1.
Desiring mukti. Reflective semblance of faith inspired by the overwhelming desire to merge into the impersonal Brahman, which is espoused by the followers of Shripad Sankaracharya.
Yeah, this is the desiring mukti, that's the first one.
Desiring bhukti. Reflective semblance of faith caused by a strong desire for sense gratification. Impersonalists with this type of faith selectively embrace those parts of Mayavad philosophy that allow them to rationalize hedonism, sense gratification, as the ultimate goal of life.
Yeah, example is given. Yeah.
For example, to enjoy intimate contact with others' wives in the way that Krishna enjoyed the rasa dance, they propound that ultimately we are all God.
Yeah. So ultimately we are God means you can do whatever you want. Correct, no? Nobody can ask you why. That is their idea. And it is not an exaggeration, it is a fact. There are many, many big Mayavadi gurus who have had rasa dance with their disciples and caught by the police and put behind the bars. It has happened. And because some women woke up and understood the cheating happening and they complained to police and they were caught and put. And it has been happening time and time again. So they are actually not servants of God, they are imitators of God. Prabhupada writes about Krishna's words and Krishna's actions. When you find a difference between the two, which one should we follow? Words. Because Krishna, of course, ultimately the word and action are supposed to match when we are all preaching. Our word and action should match. But when God's actions are different, then you can know it's the Leela. he can perform Leela. For example, when Shankaracharya once took a pot of liquor and he drank, then all the disciples thought it's very wonderful. Brahman goes into Brahman. They drank. Then Shankara wanted to teach them a lesson. He went to a iron shop and took molten iron and drank. Because who is Shankara? Shiva. Now the disciples are trembling. Can they imitate that? Similarly, if here you find, these fellows want to dance with females, which appears to be very enjoyable for them, and Krishna is dancing with gopis. Now, Prabhupada said, before even you think of such a thing, you have to dance on the 1,000-hooded Kaliya, snake. And you have to smile also while dancing. Isn't it? And that too, your age should be how much? 5.5. It was just 5 years, 7 months. And when he was a 7-year-old boy, he lifted the Govardhan hill. 5.5 years he is dancing on Kaliya. And Kavanal is drinking in the forest, isn't it? Once I saw a man lying in the berth in semi-sleeping state. He purchased a teacup. When the teacup, if you see his life, the last 6 years of his life, he adopted a mood called Radha Sohabhav, they call it. Radha Sohabhav means adopting the mood of Radha and attraction for Krishna. So I used to think that why he is not loyal to one personality. He is worshipping Kali, there he is worshipping Krishna. And he is changing. And last part of his life, he also said, I am the same Rama, I am the same Krishna. Like that he said. So I was very confused when I read those books. Later on when I understood that in Prabhupada's commentaries, I understood the demigod worship. Lord Krishna himself condemns it in many places. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavatyalpamedasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Krishna is telling that Antavattu phalam tesham. The results produced by the demigod worship are all temporary. And he says, Kama istastai hritajnana, he is saying, Prapadyante anya devata. Those people whose hearts are attracted by materialistic desires, they only go to demigods. Like the Krishna says, Kama istastai hritajnana. Hrita, he says, their hearts are stolen away. Prapadyante anya devata, he says. Anya means other than Krishna. Tam tamniya mamastaya prakritya niyatasvaya. So, when I read, it became very clear. The demigod worship is all within the Brahmanda. And Krishna worship is beyond this Brahmanda, beyond this universe. It became very clear. But in case somebody goes to demigods with no material desire, they go with the pure desire, then the demigod ultimately will direct them to Krishna. Like there was one Chandidas. So this Chandidas was a very staunch devotee of Kali before. Therefore his name was Chandidas before. It seems that his brother took some flowers from his garden and then offered to Krishna. In mind he offered. Yeah. So he became angry with him. No? Kali. And Kali said, oh, I am more inspired by him because of offering flower to Lord and then offering to me. Correct, no? She said. See, Kali said, every day you offer me directly, that doesn't make me happy. But today I am very pleased because this flower was first offered to Krishna and then it is being offered to me. So I am taking the prasad of my Lord. And that was an eye-opener for him. From that day on, he became devotee of Krishna. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would very much relish the songs of Chandidas. Very much. He would ask devotees to sing it. There is another similar personality from Gujarat called Narsi Mehta. Narsi Mehta is very, very popular. Thousands of poems he has written. So he was a very staunch Shaivite, Shiva follower. But one time his sister-in-law scolded him as good for nothing. She said, you are just sitting at home all the time doing your chant and meditation, everything. What job are you doing or something? So he got offended. So he left the home, went to the forest. There was one Shiva temple and the mandap was there. So he sat in the mandap for 10 days, he didn't eat anything. And he was meditating on Shiva and Shiva appeared. And Shiva asked him, why are you so staunchly performing austerities for me? What do you want? He said, I am very frustrated in my this thing at home. And then he said, you give me what is best for me. At that time, Shiva gave him a vision of Krishna's rasa dance behind the bushes. And then Shiva told him, this is the best thing I give to my followers who come to me without any desire. So and then after that you will find all Narasimha Mehta's songs are all Krishna songs. From that turning point happened in his life. So in this way you will see, in case somebody goes to demigods for devotion only, then they will turn to Krishna ultimately. Even I was telling about Ramakrishna also of Bengal. The last part of his life he worshipped Krishna, but then many people have not actually connected with the Vaishnava Sampradaya. Therefore, see, when the Jiva becomes purer and purer and purer and purer, gives up all the material designations and sense gratification, everything, at that point he thinks, I am so sublime and pure, I am only God. Like that they think wrongly, because they have not received knowledge in Guru Parampara. That's the problem. Even if you become purest of the pure, we are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord. That's a reality. Because we are tiny, we are Anu and Krishna is Vibhu. We are part and Krishna is whole. The part, therefore we should always remember this statement. The part is a part, whole is a whole. Repeat. Part is a part, whole is a whole. That you should remember always. Yeah. So we are Jiva, tiny part. We always remain parts, servants of the Lord, even if we become purest of the pure. Yeah.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu condemned Mayavad precepts as offensive to the Lord and to His name. Persons who cultivate such doctrines certainly ruin their spiritual lives, leaving little hope that they will be redeemed. Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Haya Sarvanash.
Yeah. So those three you heard. The first one was Bhukti, second one was Mukti. Third one was Bhakti, but Bhakti not to Krishna. To whom? Demigods. Actually, there are many, in Tamil there is one song which comes to my mind. In South they used to sing for Kali Mata, one song. It says, Katrahi Kanalahi Kadirahi Nai, like that it goes. And then it says, Potrada Nalullai Taye Unnai Ponnodum Purlodum Vaipayanai. What is the meaning of that? I'll tell you. It says, Oh Devi, you are the sun, you are the moon, you are the sky, you are water, you are our life, you are our soul, everything. And please keep me with gold and silver and nice commodities. That's the last line. So there is a lot of profuse praise of Devi and ending with, give me this material well-being. That's the ending thing. So most of the demigod worship is like this only, you will find. But there are demigod songs also, which you will find. There is one song I remember in those days we used to sing for Lord Kartikeya. He says that, oh Lord, if I were to become even a stone in my next life, let me become stone in your abode of, Padani or Tiruchendur or something like that. So why is he worshipping Skanda and saying that I am ready to become a grass in your abode? I am ready to become a... That means actually his prayer is selfless and pure, but wrongly directed to a demigod. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am Skanda amongst the demigods. So he is taking one amsha of Krishna and he is worshipping. He is unable to know that Skanda is only one Shakti of Krishna, which is Deva Senapati. Srivalli Deva Senapati. He doesn't know that. Therefore he is worshipping. Just like, for example, some college students, they give their heart to cinema actors. You have seen that? Like there was one student in our college days who used to worship Bruce Lee every day with agarbatti. After worshipping him, then he will be doing karate after that. Breaking bricks and everything. Because Bruce Lee is one small amsha of Krishna. Krishna defeated so many demons. This poor boy is not aware of it. Correct, no? So he's taking one small amsha and worshipping it as whole and soul. Correct, no? So therefore, but the moment the jiva comes to know who is the whole personality, filled with 6 opulences, Shadaishwarya Purna Bhagavan, then they can give their heart to Krishna. So in this way, the 3 categories we saw of Shraddha Bhas.
Why condemn reflected semblance of faith? Aren't the activities of devotional service powerful enough to purify it? Vaishnava acharyas have rejected this idea. The offensive and distorted ideology inherent in reflected semblance of faith cannot be purified.
See? Actually, there is only one way they can purify. They should completely give up their bogus understanding and surrender. Therefore, Prabhupada was very heavy. You will see sometimes people bring this kind of script, Prabhupada would break it there only. The break means what? Either you come this side or go that side. There's nothing like hanging in between. Slowly you cannot purify. Similarly, you will see bad habits giving up. You ask doctors, will tell you, there are certain bad habits which you can give up gradually. For example, if you are sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning, students do that. We tell them, shift your clock from 3 to 2. And here also you have to shift like this. Like this, no? So instead of getting up at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, you go like this, 12 o'clock, and then sleep 11 and sleep at 10, and make you sleep at 9, 9:30. And then get up at 3:34 or 5, like that. Slowly you can change. But you ask, any doctor will tell you, tobacco, you have to give up slowly? No, suddenly you have to give up. Doctors will tell you, you can ask. Because certain habits, if you try to give up slow, they will never go. They have to be immediately given up. So therefore, here he says that this cannot be purified very easily because these are deep rooted. Yeah.
Remedy. A person traveling north from Delhi cannot reach Vrindavan unless he changes direction. Similarly, the adherents of Mayavad philosophy can achieve auspiciousness only after abandoning their false precepts and embracing the correct Vedic conclusion. Brahmano hi
That is
pratishtaham.
14.27. Krishna says, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Krishna says. See, Vishaya Vishtachittanam Vishnur Aveshana Bhavet. Like the Vishnu Purana says. If you are Vishaya Vishta, you cannot become Krishna Vishta. It is not possible. If you, for example, if I am going in north, then I cannot expect to go to south. So, if a person is a sense gratifier, he should agree to give up sense gratification and then turn towards Krishna and go. Like for example, a thief. If a thief has a tendency to steal, he himself has to decide that I will give up my thieving nature. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult. Other people speaking to him is not very helpful. Even if police catches him and beats him and puts him in jail, he will go in the jail and tell others, I was little careless, police caught me. What is the meaning of that? Next time I will be very careful in stealing. This is the way the tendencies are. They will not go on their own. So the person who is stealing should have remorse to give up. Then only he will give up. So like Ajamila, for example, he brought the prostitute and begot 10 children in her womb. And he got a solid realization by seeing Yamadutas, Mritsudutas. Otherwise, one cannot give up such horrible situation. He became fully determined on his own that I will go to Haridwar and give up all this nonsense and become a devotee. Otherwise, you will see it keeps repeatedly coming, these tendencies. Like you see Bilvamangal, although Chintamani chastised him and he headed towards Vrindavan, on the way again he became attracted. You can see that. Then he plucked out his eyes. After that he got, complete surrender. Because the old Abbas tendencies don't go away so easily. Therefore, there is no question of slow purification. One has to give up. Therefore, the words of a Acharya is like a ukti. It is called ukti, means like a sharp knife which cuts the misconceptions. Sadhu, the very meaning of the word sadhu itself is to cut. So he has to cut these misconceptions. And the examples of jnanis who are saved from this kind of Shraddha Bhas were who? Prakashanand Sarvabhattacharya. They heard the real teachings of Bhagavatam. And Mahaprabhu exploded it completely when he talked to these two personalities. Read below. But such
examples are extremely rare. The seed of reflected semblance of faith is inherently antagonistic to Krishna and thus tends to degrade into habitual offense. It is extremely difficult, therefore, to root it out and replace it with a healthy seed of devotion.
Because what happens with people, they have a tendency to again and again go back to their old habits. Actually, there was one student coming to one of our brahmacharis, and this brahmachari somehow inspired him to come out to 16 rounds. So, but he was connected to one of the so-called incarnations. Incarnations with a big this thing, you know that. So he was connected to that big so-called incarnation. And ash producing incarnation. And he wanted to dedicate his life, commit before. But now this devotee did not say anything bad about that previous human so-called incarnation. And he brought him up to the point of 16 rounds. And one day this brahmachari brought him to me and said, Prabhu, now he is saying that he is going to join that organization full time. And although I brought him to 16 rounds, still his eagerness is to join that bogus so-called man people claiming him to be incarnation. Then he asked me, Prabhuji, why? What is the reason? Then I said, did you frankly tell him what is right, what is wrong? That I have not yet told him. That is the problem. That is the problem. So at one point of time we have to be ready. You have to draw the line and say, come this side or go that side. Otherwise, there is no... Actually, people will think, A bhi theek hai, O bhi theek hai, sab theek hai, they will be thinking. That's what he is saying here. See, with Sarvabhattacharya also, Mahaprabhu was very humble in the beginning. And the moment Mahaprabhu won his heart and entered into his heart, he put a bomb there. Correct, no? Yeah. He told him that, your explanation of Vedanta is bogus. He clearly told him. This is a wrong explanation. Same with Prakashananda Saraswati also. Mahaprabhu exploded all the illusions, yeah. And then, okay, now the wrong understandings are exploded. You are now flat on the ground now. You realize that my old edifice that I built up is all a bogus edifice. You destroy it and then you can start a new thing. Start from the ABC again. That's possible.
The following...
No, this is a same one which I recited. This was... yeah.
Persons with reflected semblance of faith may take to devotional service and even chant Hare Krishna with apparent enthusiasm. Yet, Thakur Bhakti Vinod forbids us to call them Vaishnavas. Because their mentality is offensive, they are classified as materialistic fruitive workers, karmis, or speculative philosophers, jnanis. In fact, because of their errant mentality, these impersonalists uproot their own creepers, destroy their own meager faith, and ultimately abandon their spiritual disciplines.
Yeah, just like an elephant nicely takes a bath in a river and comes out, foolishly takes the sand like that, puts on himself, and after the body is wet, it very nicely sticks. Sand sticks all over the body. How foolish he is. That's what these people may do. They again, because their loyalties to the previous connections and the attachments they have to the bogus organizations is not gone. Therefore, one has to completely wash off oneself of all those stains before and fully become loyal to the Vaishnava to whom they are surrendering. Only then they can be saved. Like Prakashananda Saraswati is a wonderful example, isn't it?
Sometimes karmis and jnanis display symptoms of advanced stages of pure devotion. Rupa Goswami raises this apparent contradiction at the beginning of his deliberation on the semblance of love.
I can read the translation.
Although love for the Supreme Lord, Bhagavati Rati, is searched for even by liberated persons who are free from all material urges, Krishna keeps it very hidden and does not easily give it even to those who worship him. How then can this attachment for the love arise in the hearts of those who do not engage in the practice of pure devotional service because of their desiring enjoyment or liberation?
Which is like jnanis sometimes cry tears and show hair standing on end. So that is explained here in the next slide here. Yeah.
The essence is that Mayavadis cannot even feel true symptoms of ecstatic attachment, what to speak of display them. What they experience is the reflection of the love radiating from the moon-like hearts of pure devotees. The moon rays of pure transcendental love are so powerful that they induce a semblance of love even in the hearts of offenders.
See, even in a temple like this, when great gurus and sannyasis and Mahatma devotees sing or they speak, that sends out a wave of ecstasy while narrating the pastimes or while singing the kirtanas. So in the audience there may be offenders also, like Mayavadis and all, and there may be innocent people also, and they all get affected positively, positively influenced. They may get tears, sometimes they may clap hands, or they may lose control and dance exuberantly. So those symptoms are manifesting in them momentarily due to being influenced by the wave of ecstasy arising from the body of a devotee, pure devotee. That's what he is saying. That's the Rati Abhas, we call it. Yeah.
How can one distinguish the symptoms of reflective semblance of love from their pure counterparts? This question is more than just philosophical. It hints at a real problem that has plagued Vaishnava society throughout history, the imitation of ecstatic symptoms.
That is called Sahajaism, yeah.
For,
Sorry.
For example, Rupa Goswami writes of a class of materialists who pose as great devotees and publicly display symptoms of ecstasy. Motivated by a desire for fame, followers, wealth and women, these public displays are nothing more than dramas.
Isn't it? Actually, when Gaur Krishna Babaji was in Vrindavan, they brought one wealthy merchant to meet him. The wealthy merchant was decorated very nicely, dressed in nice dress and everything, and he was manifesting tears, crying tears sometimes. And two people were catching him on either side because he has uncontrollable ecstasy. And he has to be caught, otherwise he will collapse to the ground. He was almost about to faint. So they came and made a display. So he rejected it. He said, don't even bring him near me. He said, simply a cheater, simply imitator, he said. So our acharyas like Gaur Krishna Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and our Srila Prabhupada, they had that clarity of vision to see who is a real person and who is an imitator. For example, you all know His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj is a very strict personality, many people know. He has written a book on Vamshidas Babaji. Correct, no? Vamshidas Babaji, you have seen the cover of the book. And if you read the content of the book, you may be surprised about him. But who is authenticating him? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Therefore, Maharaj also wrote a book on him. So, which means even the strictest Vaishnavas can accept the most spontaneous Babajis, provided they are in line. They are in Gaudiya line. On the other hand, if an imitator were to display tears and showing hair standing on end and all these dramas just for popularity, they will be thoroughly rejected. And Mahaprabhu rejected Ramdas Vishwas, who was actually chanting Ramanam and crying. Constantly was chanting Ramanam. But Mahaprabhu later on told the devotees that he's a Mayavadi. He want to merge in Ram and become one with Ram. So Mahaprabhu didn't even look at him. Even when Bhagavan Acharya brought his brother, I think Gopal, what is his name? Who had studied in Varanasi, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu looked at him and artificially smiled, it is said, at Bhagavan Acharya. Okay, he's relative. Sometimes we do like that, no? Mahaprabhu was not happy. And immediately Mahaprabhu turned his face away. He was internally displeased and externally showed a smile out of etiquette. Because Mahaprabhu had that ability to scan through a person and say, what is his ultimate goal? Does he want to merge in God and relax, or he has a desire to eternally be a servant of the Lord? Yeah.
Unfortunately, ignorant and uninformed persons fall for the show and perpetuate a fool's paradise of cheaters and the cheated.
Vanchita Vanchata Sampradaya, it said. Vanchita Sampradaya. That means there are bogus gurus who claim to be God or claim to be having bhava. They are Sahajya people. Sometimes they wear a sari also and cover their head and they dance like a gopi. And there are many people who say our Guruji has gone to Sakhi Bhav now. Sakhi Vesh he has put. And then later on you will find this fellow, newspaper will publish article, he fell down with some widow, some women, and he will be put behind the bars. So Prabhupada has seen all these things happening in Vrindavan, and then therefore he is very strong in writing the law book of ISKCON, which is it? Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada said our devotees should be very learned and not get cheated. Now in ISKCON also we have to be very careful. As leaders, if you have a tendency to go to certain Brijabasis, certain people living in Vrindavan who are exhibiting some advanced symptoms, some ISKCON people or leaders also went saying that, see, if you are simply doing Vaidhi Bhakti rules and regulations, whole life will go away and it will be like stereotyped in a sadhakas only. But if you have to become a Siddha, attain Siddha, you have to go and associate with so those advanced people outside ISKCON, they started going. So therefore, His Holiness Shivaram Maharaj has published one book called Shiksha Outside ISKCON. There is a book in which thoroughly he condemns that Prabhupada has vehemently opposed this idea of accepting any Shiksha outside ISKCON. It's a thin book. I've read that book several times and I've spoken also several times. It's a very, very important book. We should not get misled by people who promise you that you can get your siddha. There was one very good preacher coming to Pune in those days from Bombay. Such a good preacher. I used to go for all his lectures outside. One Grihastha preacher. I used to go and attend also. But later on, he went to Vrindavan. He said some Russian Babaji is there. He's giving you pranali mantra and all, and you have to chant 64 rounds every day. And he got into that groove and he totally got lost. In a week he had 10, 12 programs he used to do. Such a good preacher. His spiritual master several times was compassionate to him, called him, talked to him, but he left. So he got totally lost. Now he lost all his programs. He lost the spiritual career completely. He got lost. We have to be very careful. We should not be... See, greed is very good to attain Krishna Prema fast. But that greed should not lead us to shortcuts. Like for example, you want to pass, get a job. So what shortcut people take in the interview, in the examinations? Chits, copying, then they will be debarred for 3 years. So similarly in the spiritual path also, if you take a shortcut, greed is very good. You can possess greed in your heart, but don't take shortcuts. Pay the price and follow the process. Then only we can attain. So therefore, if anybody would ask me, I would tell them that till my last breath, I would love to stay in ISKCON temple, attend the morning programs, do my chanting, hear the Srimad Bhagavatam class, and I would consider my life completely perfect if I have lived with Vaishnava devotees, worshipping the deities, rendering my services. Whether I attend Krishna Prema or not, I won't care. Why? Because I have faithfully followed the Guru Parampara. Prabhupada says, stay in ISKCON temple, stay with devotees, worship the deities, render services, distribute books, do Harinam. Even after I have done these things all my life, if Krishna is still not pleased with me, I will beg him for one more opportunity to give me one more lifetime where I can continue this. And I will continue it for 1,000,000 lives like this. After which maybe he will be pleased. This should be our attitude. Like that's what our Rukmini says in that famous verse. Yasyangri pankaja rajasnapanam mahanto vanchanti umapatiriva atmatamo pahatyai yarhyam bujakshanalabheya bhavat prasadam jahyamason pratakrishan shatajanma bhisyat. She's telling, my dear Lord, you are such a great personality that even Shiva and Brahma take the rest of your feet on their head. Who am I to marry you? In case you felt I am unqualified, I am even ready to perform penances for 100 lifetimes, she is saying. After which, if you consider me eligible, you may accept me. So, if we stick to this attitude, we can go on for our life, and then the perfection is achievable. Otherwise, we will get cheated by shortcuts and all. Yeah.
Yes. For this reason, Vaishnava Acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada, have educated their followers to distinguish between real and imitative devotion.
Yeah.
How can one distinguish the symptoms of reflective semblance of love from their pure counterparts? Jiva Goswami describes the characteristics of the reflected semblance of ecstatic attachment. He points out that of the 8 genuine ecstatic symptoms, Mayavadis display reflective symptoms of only 2, crying and horripilation.
You know that, no? The different symptoms, Ashta Satvika Vikar. In that they only display 2, which is crying. You can put glycerin and cry. Yeah. And shaking of the body. That's all they reflect. And these are very short-lived, and they take place only in the company of pure devotees, which I said earlier also. So they are rare, manifesting only in those Mayavadis directly favored by Krishna, and they appear only in persons who maintain attachment for liberation or sense gratification. Like that, Durgama Sangamani, Jiva Goswami's commentary, he says that. Yeah. So now today we have completed the half of this chapter, which is the Pratibimba Shraddhabhas. So in the next class we will do one Chaya Namabhas, which is more Anukul for Bhakti. Chaya Namabhas is Anukul, whereas Pratibimba Namabhas is Pratikul. So Pratibimba Namabhas is because of Bhukti, Mukti or demigod worship, those things. That is very Pratikul actually. But even it's not that they are gone, they can also come to Krishna consciousness, provided they are ready to give up their old prejudices and come to Krishna consciousness. But this one will be more smoother, which is Chaya Namabhas. which we will do in the next class. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much.